This video is presented by EA Game Changers. Hey, what's going on guys, it's Dazs here. So this video is the same format as the one on Merida, and I want to give a more in-depth analysis from a sniper's perspective for you guys. Quick reminder, everyone's footage that you've seen on these maps is really not to our normal standards, and that goes for everyone that was flown out to EA Play. The reasons for are 1, we were not in normal setups. 2, every time we finished a round, our settings all got reset. So let's get right into it. I wanted to discuss Sundan and my first impressions. This is what I'm going to be covering. Where does the action take place? Is this a good map? What can make it better? And finally discuss, is this a good sniping map? For Sundan, as an infantry player, you'll primarily live on the northwest side of the map. This map is extremely large and the fights you can get into are far in between. I would say this is 100% more of a vehicle map, but that does not mean that action cannot take place for infantry. As a sniper, you really want to live in the upper north and the hills before hitting the swamps. This is where you want to live overall. As a sniper, you'll never go all the way towards A, as this will block all the views of other objectives and your enemy will most likely be armory, and going too far F puts you away from all the action. You could camp here, but I promise that you'll be disappointed in the action that can take place. The only reason you want to live on F is that this is your starting point and you no longer have any control of the rest of the map. It's really not an ideal position. Now, the difficult part is that you are invested too much in the city as a sniper. You'll run into issues unless you feel comfortable as an aggressive recon. But you'll want to take cover from the tanks camping and bombarding you. So it's a tad of a double-edged sword, just something to be mindful of, and hug the top to avoid tanks. It's quite simple. Now, is it a good map? I mean, it's better than Hamada visibility-wise, but oddly feel that this is really a tank map, but the objectives really cater towards the infantry up north, as there's no points to the south for tanks, just mostly an open vast area for a swamp. It could be quite jarring, and the map does feel quite empty at times, especially if it's not a full 32 versus 32 server, and which some of the footage we were testing was more exploring rather than fighting at times. I feel that this map is better if we move the objectives more towards the south and kind of gave an objective for the tanks, but when we talked about this, the problem is that this may ruin the flow for the infantry and putting it even more so in the tanks. It's really a tricky situation. I'm curious how the community is really going to feel about it. Going from Merida being so close to, honestly, in my opinion, a 10 out of 10 map to Sundan can be really quite jarring because the fights are really different because of how vast Battlefield is, which goes back to, well, the roots of Battlefield being a large map and scale. It opens up a can of worms. Is Battlefield an infantry-based game like Locker, Metro, and Merida? Some will complain this is not Call of Duty. Or does this go more like Sundan and Caspian Border? There really is not a right answer here because Battlefield most likely and will do it all. I mean, we really don't have an answer, and I'm curious what you guys think because during our feedback session, I think we've really spent most of the time debating this map and providing feedback because it just didn't feel right. It's a gorgeous map, it's large, but it's extremely hard to get the balance right and figure out where it sits. For snipers, I suppose this map really is a dream. You do have open lines of sight, but most of your targets will mostly be armory, so just kind of keep your distance, stay up north, and you'll be fine. But again, you'll miss out on the rest of the map as a sniper. So real quick, let's just cover the big key points and takeaways. Avoid F and A because of running is far too long for a sniper and will most likely drop your KPM, and also your KD since you're most likely going to be running into tanks. Take the north side, but if you suffer from aggressive recon skills, sit between the edges and navigate the cities carefully, but be mindful of tanks camping and bombarding the city from afar. Utilize the Krag or the K98 as this is going to provide you the fastest bullet velocity, and use that long-range 6x scope. If you really have a hard time with bullet drop, then specialize in the bullet drop spec. If you found this video helpful, if you enjoyed, please do not forget to leave a like and subscribe if you did, and I'll see you guys next time.